Welcome to another edition of 42 Straight Years In, Volume 2, Part 36. On my crackhead update, I had one knocking on the door. Guess it's about 12 o'clock, midnight. And she came back this morning after I was up. And she trying to sell me sex for $10. And she didn't have no panties on, so she raised her little skirt up and showed me, say, see, this is what I'm working with right here. She said, I just took a bath, so I'm good and clean. And she wanted that $10 to get her early morning hit. I had to decline as usual. She told me, say, it's tight and right. And she showed it to me. I said, oh, yeah. I said, it looked like it's tight. She said, it is. You can touch it if you want to. Go ahead. I said, no. I said, I got to pass. I said, I got a busy day. I said, but it's going to be somebody going to take you up on your offer. I guarantee you that. You just ain't talk to the right guy for $10. I gave her a cup of coffee and she walked away. Headed on down Corinth Street. Well, that's my crackhead update. And in regards to my move, I went over to the manager's office yesterday, and she said, I talked to one of the assistants. She said the head manager do not work on a Tuesday. And she said, she called on the phone, asked did I have an appointment. The lady said, no, he don't have an appointment with me. But she said, is he standing there? Let me talk to him. So the lady, so crazy about coronavirus, she wouldn't let me hold her phone. So she held the phone back and let me talk to the manager. And she said she'll give me a call later on that afternoon. She called me because I didn't even know how you're going to pay the rent, by money order or through an app or a check or cash. And she told me how the rent is going to be paid. She said, what the holdup is waiting to get all their paperwork back. And she said, today, I will know something, and in all likelihood, Thursday I'll be moving in. So I got to head to Walmart and get some money orders. She told me she wanted the rent in one money order and a deposit in another money order. So after I do this video, I'll head to Walmart. Yeah, if you hear some humming in the background, my next door neighbor over here is out cutting his lawn. So this microphone might pick up that lawnmower weed eater. Tim Snow over at Texas Prison Stories had did a segment on the bluebird. And he asked me to enlighten the YouTube audience regarding being transported to prison back in the day. Okay, I can only speak on how Dallas County transported you to prison. I don't know about other counties. Anyway, you'd be woken up. They would wake you up about 12 o'clock, midnight, and they turn all the phones off. So you can't call no one to try to break you out or hijack the prison bus. There's no phone calls in the jail when they call catching the chain. That means they transport you to the diagnostic unit. That's what it was called back in the day. Now it's had a name change. It's called the bird unit. Well, anyway, they would wake you up at 12 o'clock. Move everybody who's going to catch the chain to a special tank in the county jail. Then they would go through your property. They'll bring you these property receipts for you to sign that they're going to transport to prison with you. Most likely your property consists of whatever you was arrested with that you had in your pockets. Your wallet, back then they didn't have cell phones. Pocket knife, money, whatever you had. And also they give you another receipt to sign regarding your money that's in Dallas County Trust Fund for inmates. You sign that receipt. And before the bus would leave out about 6 in the morning, headed to Huntsville, Texas. And they search everyone. During that era, they didn't even put handcuffs on you, because they would have 3 armed guards. And they would drive you to have a designated route going to Huntsville. They don't tell no one what the route is. And upon arrival at the diagnostic unit, you are met at the back gate of the prison. Most likely it's going to be a ranking officer, a major, or a captain standing there waiting on the bus. And you get off, they call everybody's name, you line up, you go on inside of the prison. That'd be your first meeting of inmate guards. I'm speaking of before they abandoned the inmate guard system. The diagnostic unit did not have building tunnels, but they had turnkeys. And you would get to see these guys as soon as you enter the prison. They standing around. If you start any trouble, they will beat the hell out you right on the spot. Now you at the big house. They don't play no games with you. And you line up in this room. Everybody get out of their clothes. Stay buck naked. You go up to this desk, and it was an inmate guard sitting behind the desk. He would ask you, what do you want to do with your clothes? Ship them home or donate them to the Salvation Army? So you make that decision. Next, you go to the barber's chair. You still buck naked. No clothes on, no underwear, no nothing. You sit in the barber's chair. They shaved all of your hair off. From that barber's chair, you enter the shower. You shower, you come out on the other side. It's a guy waiting on you with a spray gun. They spray these chemicals in you. They make you rub your hair, raise your balls, and spray all your body parts under your arms, so no lice, bed bugs, or crabs. It's going to kill all of it. And that stuff going to stay on you for 24 hours until the next day you take a shower and wash it off. And the whole prison be smelling like these chemicals. I don't know if they do that nowadays. But the next day, they would come in, the turnkey would come in and call names out. You go into the medical. That's the first thing you go to up on arrival in a Texas prison. You go to medical. They give you this form to fill out. They ask you if you're on any type of medication. Do you have seizures? You're diabetic? Or whatever. They do a medical exam. They perform a physical on everybody. And the next day, they probably call everybody out in the hallway for shots. They give you a TB examination, a TB shot, a TB test, in other words. They give you a flu shot, hepatitis, and a tetanus shot. Okay, later on in the week, you will go see the psychologist. Also, at the psychologist interview, they would ask you something like, have you ever had desire to have sex with your mother? When you're young, that question don't make no sense. Later, I found out why they would ask you that. That would have a lot to do. They test your anger, so that way they'll know what prison to send you to. If you answered that question real crazy like, and you got a large sentence, majority of the time you would be assigned to the Eastham unit. Back during that era, Eastham unit was classified as a prison unit for the criminally insane and mentally retarded inmates. That was the classification for the Eastham unit. You had to be 25 years on up above and been to prison before. They signed me to that prison as a first offender because I talked crazy in hell to them during the sociologist interview and the psychologist interview. So I got so fly with them, they say, okay, we got a spot for you. They do all type of tests. They test your education. They do a thorough background check. Then you go at the end of the line, you was going to only be there about 15 days. You go to classification. And they tell you in that classification committee what prison you being assigned to. The following day, they'll wake you up, line everybody up according to what prison you're going on, so they'll know what bus to put you on, and you're taken to prison. Now, if you was going to the East Ham, Ellis, Ferguson, Cofield, was no Beto back then. And they were still building Cofield. They only had the child hall and one cell block up. They were still working on Cofield. In 1975, they were still, construction was over there. Inmates build a prison. And now if you was going to the Ramsey unit, it'd be a guard drive the Bluebird. That's the name of the prison bus manufacturer. All the prison buses has Bluebird on the side. That's the manufacturer. And when you arrive at the Ramsey unit, it's another bus waiting on you to take you to the retrieve unit and the Clemens unit. Now, inmate drives that bus, not a guard. An inmate drives it. But also, when you was at the diagnostic unit, back during the day, they had a policy you can eat much food as you want. But it was a catch-22 at the diagnostic unit. They only gave you about 5 minutes to eat. And you must eat everything on that tray. So you loaded your tray up with all that food. You was going to be standing up in the chow hall eating. They make everybody get up, and over the slot where you put your tray in, that's where you're going to be standing until you done ate everything on your tray. Can't nothing be left on that tray but bones. No food at all. And also at the diagnostic unit, you get to make commissary. Back then, you could only buy hygiene. That's it. No cookies and cakes and all that. Nothing but hygiene. And there's no TV, no radio. If you're not going to one of these induction procedures they have, you're gonna talk to quite a few people. If you're not attending anything, you just remain in your cell. They let you out every day to shower. And it was mandatory you was gonna shower. No excuses. You were going to shower. A turnkey gonna come down there and say, everybody, shower time. There's one gonna stay at the back. He gonna walk past every cell. You cannot be in that cell. If you're in that cell, they're gonna tell you, hey, come out, man, and shower. You refuse, they're gonna whoop your ass. Simple as that. You're gonna get introduced to the Texas prison system. But all the while they transported inmates, there was no handcuffs. The bus had the screen on the windows, but no inmate was handcuffed. I mean, we'd be packed in that bus. And when you arrive at your prison unit, whatever unit they assign you to, because back during the day, they didn't have no classification at the prison like they do now. They minimum custing out. They ain't have none of that crap. You talk to the warden, and all the warden gonna do is tell you how things is ran at that prison. And later that evening, you'll go see the field major, and he'll assign you to a work squad. Texas prison was based on work. Every man had to work. If you was blind, in a wheelchair, I don't care what the situation was, they had a job for you, and you was going to it on all work days. Majority of the jobs, you got weekend off. You was going to have a job assignment. They didn't play that medical crap about you sick and all. They didn't even care about that. You was going to work. Every man was on deck. If you were signed to a field squad, you was going to work Monday through Friday, like clockwork. The normal work procedure was we go out at 6 in the morning when it's still dark. When we load up on the trailers, it's dark outside. And we would head to the fields. By the time we make it there, it depends on where we're working at, the sun came up. And we was coming in, it depends on the prison. At Easttown, they came in about 4 o'clock in the evening. They were lenient on work compared to Ramsey. Eastham is no comparison to Ramsey on work. Now, Eastham got worse building tunnels. They had the worst inmate guards. Ramsey's inmate guards were bad also, but the building tunnels, those building tunnels are the guys who be inside of the cell block with you. That's a building tunnel. A turnkey is the guy who stay out in the hallway, unlock the riot gates, unlock the cell block doors, the dormitory doors, and allow inmates in and out. That's a turnkey. They had another classification, a count boy. That means about what his name say. He works in the count room where the warden and things is. His position is administrative. He type up move slips, disciplinary, different maintenance logs. That's his job function. But the classification, he still is an inmate guard, because some count boys, when they jumping you in the hallway, they join right in with them. So that was another part of the inmate guard system. Majority of the time, if you work in the fields, you was going to be assigned to a cell block. That was the policy at Eastham. Eastham had 14 dormitories, but you wasn't going to live on that dormitory. Eastham has 26 cell blocks, 14 dormitories. You're not going to live on a dormitory working in the fields. All those people got prison jobs. Ramsey is the other way around. They get tired of the inmates on the cell blocks, the field workers fighting all the time, so they'll move them to the dorms where they can watch you better. They do the same thing in the dorm. They'll say to hell with it and move them right back to the cell blocks. Ramsey, they flip-flopping. But the difference between a Ramsey unit and an Eastham unit is Ramsey worked hard as hell. That was the difference. There was straight slave labor at Ramsey. Also, Ramsey used racial terms. Eastham was a racial unit. It was ran by white inmates. But the prison guards there, the field bosses, they did not use racial terms. I ain't never heard them call no guy a racial slur. Well, at Ramsey, that's how they talk to you. No matter what your name was. Your name is Smith. They're going to say, hey, nigga Smith, come here. Okay, whopped head nigga, come here. Come do this. It always going to be a racial slur in front of your name. And you was going to say, yes, sir. Matter of fact, you wasn't even going to say, yes, sir. That sound too proper to them. You were going to say it like a slave would say it. Yes, sir. You hear them all across the field when they call in the roll. Nigga Johnson, yes, sir. You ain't going to say that yes, sir ass bullshit. They don't want to hear that proper English. These is guys, the prison guards work there were all white. And they from these little small country towns. And they ain't trying to hear shit about no minority studding up on them. That was not going to happen. You could do it, but they had immediate consequences for you back then. They wasn't going to waste all them little games like they do now. We're going to read you your disciplinary. We're going to take you to pre-hearing detention. Then a counsel substitute going to come to you and read you your charges and tell you, I'm representing you at the disciplinary hearing. What kind of plea you want to enter? They didn't even do that. When you go into disciplinary, it's already wrote on that report, guilty. Then they didn't even give you a copy of the disciplinary. This is the little game they'll play on you in disciplinary. They'll say, I sentence you to 15 days solitary, 30 days cell restriction, 30 days loss of good time. You want a copy of this? You say, yes, sir. Okay, now you got 30 days in solitary. You still want a copy? Yes, sir. 45 days in solitary. You don't ask for no copy. The shit is already filled out when you get in there. If you glance at it, you can already see what your punishment is. If sometimes the major, he'll try to hide it, he'll have it turn over on his desk, but you still can see it. You know what your punishment is. And back in the day, you already knew what your punishment was. Depends on what type of disciplinary report you got. Most of all these disciplinary consisted of work-related disciplinary offenses. They call slow bucking. That means you ain't working fast enough in the field. Refusing to work. Insubordination. They had all, the rule book was real thin. Now the rule book thick as hell. They didn't have all the rules. They didn't even do cell searches. When they got inmate guards, they didn't do cell searches. And a guy asked me, say, what would be the difference between then and now? That system was way more brutal, but you had more privileges. You can order food from McDonald's, Kentucky Fried Chicken. You order it, and they'll bring it to you on a Saturday. So you get free world food and stuff if you had money. Now, ain't none of that happening. And the main part that I liked under that system is you could defend yourself. Under this new system, I don't care what another inmate do to you. None of these modern day wardens is trying to hear nothing you talking about. You can say, hey, he went in my cell and stole all my stuff. Their response is going to be, why you didn't go tell the supervisor? Any inmate know once you start snitching, you're going to have to do it in front of all these guys. Once you start that, you doomed in a prison. And I've seen guys property stole, they go tell them, they'll say, we too busy right now. I'll check into it later. In the meantime, your family done sent you their hard-earned money. Well, you can try to live a little comfortable in prison. Got your fan, a radio, a hot pot, a word processor where you can take care of your legal work or do your college work on. And some clown went in there and stole your property. And you can't defend yourself. Where when I first went to prison, no shit like that didn't happen. There was no stealing at all. These guys had expensive Zippo lighters. They would go to work and leave that cigarette lighter sitting in the day room on a bench. When they come back from work, that same cigarette lighter is sitting there. Man, you did not steal. That was unheard of, somebody getting their property stolen. And different little privilege they had, like they had all type of bands. Tejano band, a country band, a rock and roll band, a R&B band, a blues band. And occasionally they put on shows in the gymnasium. You can go in there and jam out. Each town had a music room. You can go in there and play the saxophone or guitar, the bass, or whatever you want to do. Now, none of that is happening. They got rid of the prison rodeo, talking about they losing money. I don't know how the hell they losing money. All them fucking people be at that rodeo. The inmates are there free. You get paid for participating in the rodeo, but it's only a little small stipend trying to ride a damn bull. I tried that shit twice. Man, that shit's scary in hell. I wanted to try for the horses, but the guy who was an all-around cowboy, he told me, he said, youngster, you don't want to fuck with no horse. He said, a horse throw you way harder than that bull do. He said, go for the bull, not the horse. And I finished third place. I think I got $125 for risking my damn life on a 2,000-pound bull. You know, now you're under that system, a warden would tell you from day one to defend yourself. No warden like that. Nowadays, he ain't going to even tell you to go stab another inmate. He ain't going to say that shit. He going to tell you, if you stab him, we're going to indict your ass and give you some more time and throw you in administrative segregation or high security. That's what he going to tell you. I don't care what the other inmate do to you, you cannot retaliate. And been one guy up at Telfer unit, they went in his cell and stole all his property. So he came out the next morning and killed one of the fools. He got the death penalty and he been executed. If he'd been under that system, the warden would have patted him on his back. He wouldn't have did nothing to him. I mean nothing. They had a different philosophy. Under the old system, they respected inmates who will stand up for themselves. That's going to be the guy basically be cool with the warden. If he need a favor, he can go ask it, and most likely he going to grant it for him. Where now, these wardens like the Molly inmate, the guy who don't get in no trouble, participate in all the programs, he don't get masturbation cases, he's not a gang member. Well, you the kind of guy who the warden respect. Two different type of systems. The inmate guard system was so brutal. If they could have controlled some of the brutality, it still probably would be in existence today because it worked. And the way that system was set up, the way Texas prison was ran, it didn't cost the taxpayers any money. Now, taxpayers are paying out the woohoo to house all these inmates. In Texas, they cut back on their prison population. At one time, it was 165,000 inmates. Now it's about down to 133,000. And they have no programs. They have a lot of church programs. That's one thing they try to do is force Christianity on you. They try to force religion on you. They got plenty of programs concerning religion. Now, me and the warden was talking one day. He said, if I controlled this, I would not allow these church people in here. He said, these guys do not need church. He said, they need attorneys in here who can help them get some of this time off of it. He said, they need places, they need people in there who can provide financial assistance or help this guy get a job, help him get housing. That's what these guys need. That's why the recidivists